We're on our final team, Orlando Magic, 22-60. That's a bad record. But
What does the inevitable talent consolidation process look like? Mo Bamba needs a new contract, but Wendell Carter Jr. and a potentially healthy version of Jonathan Isaac are already there. They have so many young guards between Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Markel Fultz. They still have RJ Hampton, Chumo Kiki. Beyond that, there are more top rookies incoming because they have a chance to get the number one pick. They have two of the top four picks in the second round, or top five picks in the second round. So at some point, enough is enough. And you can't just keep throwing in young player after young player. And what does that process look like? Does it mean that Bamba is walking? Does it mean that you're shopping Jonathan Isaac? Does it mean that you're shopping one of the actual young guys? Something has to give here because, as seems to be the case in Orlando for roughly the last 25 years, there are log jams in place.
I'm totally with you. And it's sort of like we don't know where they're going to end up in the draft. But you look at this team, and I think you point to Jalen Suggs, cornerstone, until proven otherwise. I know his rookie season was wonky with injuries.
You could still see it, though.
I see it, too. And there's the load he was carrying at points. But I'm with the consolidation move, or at least you could call it a decongestion move, because even if they're not necessarily getting better, they just need to open runway somewhere. Because my question would actually be, who is the second guy here in Orlando?
I think
it's Franz Wagner.
Yeah, I didn't even mention Wagner because he's so obviously a centerpiece, but I still think it's Carter and then Wagner.
So, and do you have Jonathan Isaac behind both of them at this point?
I don't know, because what is he? And is he healthy? I mean, it's taken a long time for him to recover from these injuries. Is that just an abundance of caution? Is it him legitimately having trouble working his way back into the athletic shape necessary to do what he does? Was the offensive growth, which is such a small sample of proof, legitimate? Until we see him on the court.
If you have Wendell Carter Jr. as your five,
right? Could Fultz still be the answer here? I mean, he looked really good in flashes.
No, he's not.
He's still young.
He's not as the number two. There's no way.
Probably not. But I don't know that I'd totally rule it out.
What do you think is the bigger need? And I think even if they jump up high enough in the lottery, although they have the second best lottery odds, so they might end up with a big in the lottery, which I think that makes their situation even more interesting. Because do you think they could go the Cleveland route, where it's, we'll play Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac, and let's say Paolo together, because I think he'd probably be the best fit alongside two bigs, and then Franz Wagner is just your two, and you have Jalen Suggs at the one.
Who knows?
So
I mean, maybe.
So draft aside, though, I think
let Chet Holmgren run the point.
I think between the draft and having Carter, or the option of keeping Isaac, that they're not their front court is set, but let's just say they're big. Like they don't have to do anything nuclear to figure out, can we get a playable big man, or even a front court, because Wendell Carter Jr. Isaac, or Wendell Carter Jr. plus one of the rookies, or one of the rookies plus Isaac could work. What do you think is bigger for them? They do have more bodies, it seems, when you're looking at these ball handling guards. Is it finding an actual floor general, though? Or is it sort of carving out more two-way wings to where it's not?
I think it's the latter. I think it's the latter, because you don't really have a pathway to having those right now, unless you're a huge believer in Okiki. Beyond that, it's just a void, because at least with the ball handling options, there's something there. I mean, Suggs can absolutely turn into that guy who is the all-star point guard in this roster. Cole Anthony, I still believe in the talent there, even if there's a whole hell of a lot of volatility from a game-to-game perspective. Fultz, I keep coming back to that because I see the flashes, and if he can stay healthy and is actually given a runway, maybe there's something there. So I see those options. I don't see the same options on the wings, and that's why that has to be the answer.
I actually go the opposite route, because I'm wondering, Franz Wagner was okay at the three this year anyway, and I wouldn't call him 3-and-D, even though he moved a lot better laterally on defense than I just, again, and this, I'm not a draft expert, so maybe other people were super high on his defense anyway. I look at the team, and I think Jalen Suggs is the only person who might meet the criteria of what you just laid out. I don't think it's Fultz. There's the huge hole in his game. where you're working with someone who's just going to have that shooting void forever. And it's fine if he's hitting his mid-rangers. Right. Defenses won't care. They won't care. I don't think Cole Anthony is that. Like, he seems more of like the microwave jolt of adrenaline off the bench, which is a great player. To my dismay and chagrin, it's not RJ Hampton. There was always just like a pace to his game where I thought it could be. I'm not. After this season, I don't think it's him. And I also, so for Jalen Suggs, maybe he can be that guy. I think he will be best suited if he's not, where it's the question of, can the Wizards put the right floor general around Bradley Beal? Jalen Suggs is in that same umbrella for me when looking at his peak. I could see him being a much better defender than Bradley Beal. I could see the 90th percentile of his career being better than Bradley Beal's. I just don't think he should have to be cast as that floor general. And so it would be more critical, if I were the Magic, to be like, how do we optimize his long-term offense? And I don't think anyone on this roster currently has a shot of doing that for them. Maybe I'm just way off, but I don't. Like, if I want to know who's the person, you have to pick one that you're going to make the strongest case for in that discussion. And I'll probably feel pretty strongly that you're wrong. So that's not an invitation to make the case, because I don't want to dump all over your takes, but that's where
it's fine. Yeah. And just to expand on that even a little more, I think the other thing is, it's generally easier to build up a rotation of young players and have them develop if you have a really strong ball handling option on the floor at all times. We've seen so many teams struggle to develop bigs and forwards because they don't have a veteran presence at point guard who's capable of getting them the ball in advantageous spots. So if Suggs isn't that guy, you're putting a lot of pressure on him to be that guy.
That's also fair. This team they have so much talent, but it's not clarifying at the moment, if that makes any sense. And maybe the draft will be a little bit clarifying depending on where they land.
I don't think so.
I think it's actually going to be more muddying than not.
Yeah.
That was great and shorter for us.
Kind of.
Please remember to rate, review, subscribe to this podcast if you haven't done so already. If you've done all those things, please shout us out. Help us promote the podcast. Tell friends, family members, anyone on the internet likes basketball. Retweet our promos. Follow us on the socials, all of which, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. They're all in the, which one am I forgetting? Instagram. Oh, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Links are in the podcast description. Follow our YouTube channel. We're over 1K subscribers, but I am now posting organic content on YouTube in addition to IG and TikTok. So there are reasons to follow us everywhere, FYI. And join the Discord. I'm usually around during games, not so much when we're recording during a Phoenix New Orleans game per se, like a certain game 4. But until next time, leave with a shout out to the one, the only, the still in the playoffs, the lockdown. Is he going to head to the semifinals? I think he will, because the Jazz are eventually going to implode. We all know it. Frank Ntilikina.